Good morning. Hi, this is Dan. I am in New York City still. This is, I guess, the completion of the first week. So I have done 7 12-hour shift days in a row, which I have not done in a very long time. I am way too old for this shit. It's 9:23 in the morning. I've been home. I've got cleaned up. I've had a little breakfast. I discovered last night I'd missed one fingernail, so I went ahead and trimmed that. So overnight, lots of interesting stuff. Started noticing something. Last night I was back in the ER. The 2 nights before that, they had me go to an ICU because they had pretty profound need in the ICUs. So this was the first night I've been in the ER in 3 days. So very different going back to the ER. When I first got to New York, I was sent to one hospital that, for lack of a better term, the situation there was bleak. It was as terrifying as anything that I've ever seen in healthcare. People were packed in, multiple beds put in the space where 1 or 2 beds should be, patients in chairs that had been there for not for hours but for a couple of days. Pretty much the entire emergency department, the whole place was all people with COVID symptoms, with pretty profound presentations. They were all sick. Nobody was there for a light cough or a sniffle. So that was 1 week ago. Last night, very different. Of course, this is a different ER, but it was the same ER that I was in 6 days ago. This other ER that I've been in for the last 6 days, the first day there was bad, but not quite as bad as the first place that I was at. But organizationally, it's a little bit different. It serves a slightly different community. But still, once again, beds were everywhere. They're placing people in chairs. They weren't basically admitted and in chairs for days on end. But overall, the situation was bad. Everybody there. Everybody. COVID symptoms. Respiratory issues, shortness of breath, cough, fevers, body aches and pains, weakness. Lots of lab values altered. Lots of interesting stuff that we're seeing, very common threads that we were seeing with a lot of these patients. And last night was very different. The volumes were down. Not as many people there, and about half of them were not typical symptoms. They were your average belly pain. It was fall down and break a hip. It was, community-acquired pneumonia. It was kidney stone. It was just some very average, boring, everyday ER stuff. This is different. It is a change. It is a profound shift, and this is good. Maybe this is where New York takes a turn for the better. So I was having a conversation with one of the physicians, and he's like, this is really different. So I start sending out feelers to other people that are inside the same organization as me, who are at other ERs. And they are reporting back, hey, it's funny you mentioned that because we're seeing some of the same stuff. Send a message to a friend who's at Cedars-Sinai here in New York. Ask them. Yeah, same story. Starting to see more normal presentations of patients at multiple hospitals across the New York area. So let's see if this reflects in statistics and data that comes out here tomorrow on Monday. maybe it will. Hopefully it will. It's not uncommon to see some of these trends in person. You kind of get a feel of the seat of the pants for some of this stuff before it actually will show up in the data, because of course the data is a reflection of what we deal with in person. So we're dealing with this in person right now, and I'm very hopeful that this is a good thing. As I said several days ago in one of the videos, it felt like we were getting adequate people into these institutions. And when you have adequate people in adequate numbers who are able to provide care that meets the needs of the people who are there, you get better outcomes. So hopefully we've done some good there, and it's helped us get over the hump. And some of these things that we're doing with social distancing and having schools shut down and trying to discourage behavior that leads to the propagation of this virus, maybe that's a positive thing. I'm also hearing rumblings from back home in Ohio and from other people other places who are like, enough of this silliness. Look, there's nothing happening. Why should we keep this up? You're right. There's nothing happening. And that's the point of what we are doing. You don't want to see firsthand what's happening here. It's sad. It's profound. It's nasty. People are suffering. Of the patients I had last night, I spent a good bit of my morning sitting and just being with a person who's not going to be there when I get back to work tonight. And it's hard because they're all alone and their families aren't with them and they can't be with them. And here I am all wrapped up in a bubble suit with a mask on that doesn't really look friendly or human, and goggles on and gloves, and that's the most human contact this person has as they're spending their last couple of hours on Earth. And so yeah, that's why we're doing this. That's why these things are important, because we will have thousands and thousands and thousands of more examples of that sort of thing. And it's not just sweet little old grandparents. Like I said yesterday in the ICU, I was providing care to a person who's younger than me with very few comorbidities. They're healthier than me by all accounts. They were at less risk than me going into this whole health crisis, and they're probably not going to come out the other side. I'm still doing well. I've got my fingers crossed. But yeah, I know that it's a risk for me. And whether you know it or not, it's probably a risk for you. And if it's not a risk for you, there's somebody that you care dearly about who this can and will kill if it's given a chance. It's pretty much as simple as that. But the good news is maybe New York's looking better, so that's good. The question is what happens next. I think that New York, being a large, urban, densely packed area that is not particularly affluent in some regards, was a perfect breeding ground for this. You have a bunch of poor people living in densely packed situations where they're all jumping into subways and they're jumping into buses and they're tightly packed against each other. It gives this virus a chance to spread rapidly. It's like a viral atomic bomb that went off in this community, and it's affected hundreds of thousands, and it's killed a lot of people, deeply injured others, left some super sick, probably with ongoing lung damage or other issues that they'll have to deal with for the rest of their life. And guess what? There's more places like that all over America. You know, if you stop and you think about it, and you think about places like Detroit, which are Cleveland, Baltimore. Baltimore, bad things could happen there. Washington, D.C., bad things could happen there. You know, you look down south, some of the urban south, places like Atlanta and Houston, Dallas, some of these, major cities down south where people are densely packed in. Let's hope that these precautions that we're taking work, because if they don't, you're going to see repeats of all of this. And I don't know if I can keep taking off and going to every city that this blows up in. There's others who can. There's others that are looking to help. And hopefully we get better and better at this each time it happens. Hopefully we learn from this, and we learn treatments, and we learn ways to manage care where this is more efficient, and we get better outcomes, shorter courses of illness. And things are better. But we have to keep working at this. We have to keep helping each other. So we have to hope that that people keep their cool and look at the science and the reality of this, and don't get too wrapped up in some of the shiny, gleaming, low-hanging baubles of ignorance, and say, well, damn it, my rights are being infringed upon, and I want to go and have dinner at Bob Evans. Damn you all. So that's where we are. I'm going to get off here. I'm going to see if I can get some rest. I kind of half jacked at my back last night, so I'm pretty stiff. I'm hoping that some good sleep will help me work this out. Other than that, I feel like I'm doing okay. I'm pretty tired. I'm perpetually sleep deprived. I'm trying to keep the nutrition good, and I'm shoveling supplements into myself, and I'm living on vitamin C and elderberry, and all these probiotics, and so I'm trying to give myself every advantage that I can. So hopefully that keeps up. I'm getting off here because I just keep rambling. But take care. Have a great day. Be good to each other. Try to encourage other people to, keep doing all the right things. And hopefully we get through this sooner rather than later. It would be really nice to have at least some bit of summer later that is more normal, so I don't have to spend, 60 hours a week, in PPE, and, perpetual fear of catching the plague. So, okay, take care. Catch y'all later. Love you guys. Bye.